Perera, was the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities Education at the University of Colombo. So, Madam, welcome to the podium.
Good afternoon, and thank you. Small corrections. I was the dean till the beginning of this month. Now I am on sabbatical leave, so I'm not the dean. I'm from the Department of Humanities Education, University of Colombo. Well, this study is an ongoing study, and I'm presenting from part of the research that I'm doing. So, as you can see, the title is An Analysis of the English Language Needs of Bilingual Students Studying Science in Grade 6. So, I will explain what I mean by bilingual as I go on. Sorry. Right, bilingual education in Sri Lanka means, as you know, bilingual means using 2 languages. So, here what I mean is, in the junior secondary schools in Sri Lanka, certain subjects like mathematics, science, health education, civics, geography are taught in English, while the other subjects are taught in Sinhala. So this is what is meant by bilingual education, and it has been extended up to the higher secondary, that's grade 12 and 13 for certain subjects, and in university education as well. So why was bilingual education introduced to Sri Lanka was, as the NEC report 2003 says, introduced in junior secondary classes to provide an enabling environment to ensure that all students, mark the underlined phrase, to all students, irrespective of socio-economic or regional disparities, to have opportunity to acquire a level of English proficiency adequate for higher education and career advancement. So by introducing bilingual education, it was hoped that the English language would improve. By teaching certain content subjects in English, that the English language would improve, and that this would start in few schools and would be extended to all the schools in the island. But now see what has happened. This is the situation. Only 9.1% of the schools in the island has this bilingual education. All the other schools have monolingual, only one medium. So why is this, what is this reason? Why has not bilingual education spread? So the reason for this inequity is, in other countries where bilingual education, when this English is used to teach certain subjects, they use a special model called CLIL, Content and Language Integrated Learning, where the necessary support is provided. In other countries, it is provided by the second language classroom. In the English language classroom, the English teacher and the subject teacher comes together to help. But in Sri Lanka, it is not happening. So there is a need to study the second language curriculum in order to align it with this content and language integrated learning. So that is why I started doing this study, and the Ministry of Education also has now realized the needs for a CLIL model, and they are doing, they have got a consultant and they are preparing a CLIL model, but it is not based on research. So that's why I have started doing this, and why I have selected grade 6 is because this is introduced at grade 6 first. From grade 6 they start, so that's why I have started this study. So in my study, as I said, this is only part of it, I have taken Kurunegala district as my sample, and in the Kurunegala district, the teachers of all the schools that has bilingual education, I have given questionnaires to the teachers. I have observed the classrooms and I have interviewed the teachers, but I have not yet interviewed the students or given them the questionnaires, and I'm also analyzing the textbooks. So what is the theoretical basis for this content and language integrated learning? Cummings says that when you use this content and language integrated model, there are two types of skills that is needed: basic interpersonal skills and cognitive academic language proficiency. I will explain that through this diagram. When you see this, this is a kind of an iceberg. The tip only we can see. So when I say basic interpersonal communication skills, that is just talking to each other. So for that, we need like pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar. And this is for day-to-day use, we use that language. So because when you use that language, we are using gestures and all the other things that helps, it is not that demanding. But when you start learning a subject in another language, or even in your mother tongue, you need much more complex language. So you can, if you see the other side, the cognitive side, that is knowledge, when you talk about Bloom's taxonomy, knowledge, comprehension, application, it is not that hard. You can memorize and reproduce knowledge. But when it comes to application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation, there is language that is more complex needed. And when a student is studying another subject in another language, these important things are necessary. So, but in order to have that difficult language, you need a threshold, a minimum level of basic interpersonal communication skills. From that only, you start developing the other more complex ones. So it says that person takes at least 4 to 5 years to learn the basic interpersonal skills, then only they start learning the cognitive skills. So this is where the English language teacher needs to give the support for these learners to learn this language. So now when I analyzed the present English language textbook of the grade 6, I found that there are 25 lessons. Now out of the 25 lessons, only 2 lessons touch on science. Now these students are learning science. Then there are 21 competencies that they are supposed to acquire through this, but only 19 of them relate to basic interpersonal communication skills. Only 2 for the cognitive academic language proficiency. So there is a need to revise these textbooks to help the learners who are learning science in that in school. Then when I gave the questionnaires to the teachers, I found now 69% of the teachers said that they do not, that the teachers of English and teachers of bilingual education do not meet when designing lessons in bilingual education. They work apart. The English teacher in the classroom does English, the science teacher teaches science. They do not meet or discuss anything. So the other percent, like the other people who said they do meet, is not to prepare lessons. That is what when I ask in the questionnaire, when do you meet, for what purposes do you meet, they have said for co-curricular activities, things like that, but not to help in this. So once again, it shows that they do not meet and discuss. Then also, when I ask in the questionnaire, what are the problems that you face in teaching? So there were certain things that I have given, like inability to express, inability to read and understand. Majority of like 50% of the teachers' first choice was inability to express ideas. Then 36% said inability to read and understand. So which means that these students even do not have the basic interpersonal skills, because they said they can't express. So if they don't have the basic interpersonal skills, then can't develop the cognitive academic ability, because it's upon the basic interpersonal skills that the cognitive abilities are developed. Then the teachers' qualifications. When I looked at the teachers' qualifications, majority of them had A-level science qualifications. 38%, BSc graduates, but then their ability to express in English, because then next I asked them about their qualifications in English. So majority of them said that, majority of them had only O-level, 42% had O-level and 38% had general English. So their inability to express because their language competency is not up to the mark. Then problems in textbooks, because the textbooks were too hard for the students. It's direct translation and lot of problems, mistakes, etc. So then I looked at the observations. The first two photographs shows the Sri Lankan classrooms. It's very teacher-directed classrooms. No interaction takes place. So the students' basic interpersonal skills are not developed. The bottom one is a classroom from other countries where this skill model takes place. So we should aim at that. So my suggestions are that there should be collaboration between subject and English language teachers. Textbooks needs to be revised, both English as well as the subject textbooks. Teachers' English language proficiency needs to be developed, and reduce on the content on the subject and make it more practical. Teaching learning process needs to be more interactive. And these are my references. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Mari.